Hello, and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by three guys who have never been on the turf. My name is Arjun Ryan.
I'm Shribam Khanda.
And I'm Ram Patel.
And today we're joined by Hoj Choi. Welcome to the show, Hoj. Woo! All right, Hoj is the one who puts together our intro music, who put together, everything you just heard.
Yeah, you know.
He actually came up with the hello and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by three guys.
I did.
So he's really, the forefather of the show. He was here a year ago. Thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, glad to be back. It's great to see Shri this time. I missed him, even though we never met before. But I miss his presence.
You still can't see him.
His voice. No, I can see him right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Hoj.
Hi.
But we had a great championship weekend. The stage is set for the Super Bowl, Eagles Chiefs. Hoj is a Cowboys fan. I'm sure you're happy about the Eagles getting in there.
What? My team lost. I'm not happy.
Yeah,
What?
it was sarcasm that you did not pick up on.
Oh, gosh. I miss you, Arjun.
But the Eagles beat the Niners on championship weekend, 31-7.
That was
probably the saddest game of football I've ever watched.
Tough.
The Niners lost all their QBs and then some. Brock Purdy, UCL injury, likely being sidelined for 6 months. The offseason, we're going to be talking a lot about what the Niners do at this QB position, and we'll get to all of that later. But Josh Johnson gets a concussion in the third quarter. Brock Purdy comes back in, can't throw. And the Eagles just rolled away with this one. Really, this is going to be one of the biggest what-ifs of the NFL. What if these 49ers QBs were healthy and we saw an actual game? Big disappointment for me, big disappointment for the Niners, and big disappointment for Graham, who came on the show last week as well.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, the Niners definitely struggled. I mean, not having a quarterback is definitely going to make you struggle. But let's not discount what the Eagles really did in this game. I mean, they came out with their foot on the gas even when Brock Purdy was in. You start the game, you go down and get a touchdown. Go to a quick lead, go into halftime, you go 2 for 1 going into the half pretty much, right? I mean, they scored a touchdown, get a quick turnover, score another touchdown, and by halftime this game was out of reach, right? So, I mean, the Eagles, they showed, I think, granted it was an easier game than they expected, but they showed that they can get it done. They showed that they were, I think, the better team. Even if Brock Purdy plays that full game, I think they still win. And they are just that complete of a team. And I think we'll get into our Super Bowl later next week, but I think they definitely got the edge there.
Hoj, you're making some faces during Rohan's spiel there.
These bold claims, you know what I'm saying? These are bold claims.
In what way?
When a fully healthy Brock Purdy is there, leading this Niners, that's otherwise just perfect in terms of offense and defense. You're really putting up Jalen Hurts, who's getting off that injury. Granted, he's rocking. All right, don't get it twisted. He's rocking it.
He's kind of rocking it.
He's rocking it. He's rocking it, but he's not 100% by any means.
No.
He's not 100%. So having a fully healthy Brock Purdy, no UCL, nothing, with everyone, they had Christian McCaffrey being QB. Like, what is that? How does that affect LeBron's legacy?
So you're telling me a fully healthy Brock Purdy would have went toe-to-toe with Jalen Hurts?
I think a fully... Look, this is just me. I love the Niners all year. A fully healthy Brock Purdy wins that game. I have no way of knowing that.
Wins the game?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, they got beat down 31-7.
You cannot...
Their defense gave up 31 points.
Rohan, that defense was on the field, and they had no choice. The defense was on the field the entire game.
Listen, I agree, but the Niners with Brock Purdy was not the difference maker in that game. You can't tell me Brock Purdy is making that much of an impact on this offense.
We saw the Brock Purdy...
honestly...
Yeah, Shrika.
A couple of things. If Christian McCaffrey's your quarterback, I think Brock Purdy is a difference maker there. He's the one, person that's really going to make a difference. But, for me, I think this whole, Brock Purdy injury could have been prevented, entirely. That Hassan Reddick sack, Tyler Kroft, who's, the third-string tight end, was, blocking him. I don't know, why someone like Hassan Reddick, who's, arguably, playing at the level of a defensive player of the year, is getting blocked by a third-string tight end. This is something that should not be happening. And that 49ers offensive line wasn't looking too great either. But, that's for another time. But, yeah, I honestly agree. Brock Purdy, he's been pretty solid. He uses playmakers pretty well. I think he would have at least kept them competitive. I honestly,
think competitive,
I agree.
But you can't say it.
But I don't think the point is I don't think we can say either way, right? We saw two drives of Brock Purdy.
No, you can say confidently that the Niners are the better team. They came out and they showed they were better from the jump.
When Brock Purdy got injured, it was 7-0.
Yeah, that's the
thing. It was 7-0 for a long time until Josh Johnson and the wheels fell off.
But my thing is, I think that this Eagles offense is legit. And I can make the same argument that if Jalen Hurts was 100%, this game isn't close.
Right, and that's the point, right? We're never going to know. And for that reason, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, and they deserve it, right? They've won the games that they needed to. They've only lost one with Jalen Hurts earlier this season against Washington, and you got to commend them for that. On the other side of the AFC, we have the Chiefs and Bengals. And this game, for the most part, lived up to the hype. I feel good because the Chiefs made the Super Bowl, and I like these Bengals all year, but I felt that Patrick Mahomes in this spot would just not be denied. For me, Mahomes, I think, Rohan, we've been talking about this for a while. Mahomes has solidified this year that not only is he in a complete tier of his own in the NFL right now, I think he's making a case for being one of the all-time greats this early in his career. I mean, 3 Super Bowl trips, 5 an AFC championship every year he started, and he's only 27 years old. I mean, Tom Brady retired this week, and we're going to talk about that, but Patrick Mahomes is certainly making an argument for being this generation's best player besides Tom Brady.
I mean, it's crazy to say. I think you can make the argument already that Patrick Mahomes may be the best football player to ever play the game.
Maybe not the greatest, but maybe the best.
Maybe not the greatest in terms of his legacy yet, but he might be the most talented player to take the field, especially considering he is the quarterback of what's looking to be a possible dynasty. But I mean, look at this game. He showed what he can do again. I mean, he is Superman. Like, I'm convinced. This guy, he's play. Okay,
lots of D writing going on.
No, listen.
No. I'm just saying.
Superman is crazy.
Superman is crazy.
It's a bit crazy.
No, but I think it's deserved as well.
Listen, I get on him for his dick riding. All right, you know that. And
you should see
side note,
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, no, you should hear him talking about Joe Burrow. Side note, I was right about the Bengals. I was right about the Bengals.
You were not right about the Bengals. You had the Bengals. You said if Lamar was healthy, the Bengals would have lost. Probably not made the playoffs by your logic.
I still stand by that. But
you're not right. They get to the AFC Championship for the second time.
Anyways, my point is Mahomes hurt ankle. 2 wide receivers out in Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster. McCole Hardman's probably not going to play for the Super Bowl. Despite all of these injuries, he still manages to get it done. I mean, the play that really won them the game was the fact that he ran for a first down and led to the ensuing unnecessary roughness, which we can get into the refs later. But the fact is, even when he's hurt, even when he's on one leg, he is still playing at a tier above the rest. We'll see what happens in the playoff or in the Super Bowl. I mean, reports say that his leg is still bothering him. I think you could see that in the Bengals game. High ankle sprains aren't likely to go away back quickly. So it'll be interesting to see if the Eagles take advantage of that and really pressure him into making him feel more uncomfortable. But, I mean, as of now, you just got to appreciate the type of game that he played. And also on the other side of the ball, you got to look at this Bengals team and wonder what went wrong. Because you're playing a team that, at that point in time, I think you're more talented than them. This is it's a pretty poor pass defense. But, again, this offensive line was an issue. Granted, they had injuries. Chris Jones had a heck of a game, had a lot of pressure on Burrow. Burrow made some ill-advised decisions with the ball through 2 picks. I think you'll probably see them back in this position again next year, but they might need a bit more juice, I think.
Yeah, just Mahomes just is too good. It's like
he's annoyingly
good. It's a little bit upsetting. There's no reason that he should be winning that game. This man is hobbling down the field. And you're like, is this really who I want to see in my Super Bowl? This man who's just hobbling and then suddenly starts booking it, going like 80 miles per hour and then just hobbles back, after he just won the whole game, And you're like, I guess he's him to a degree. But it's like upsetting. You don't even want to say that.
You don't want him to be him.
You don't want him to be him.
Is.
Because can I be fully honest right now?
Yeah.
I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
I don't want to see him in the Super Bowl either.
I don't want to, like,
Why?
Joe.
I mean, he's fun to watch, though, is the thing.
But I feel like I'm getting a little fatigued with Patrick Mahomes.
I don't get tired of it. I don't get tired of the plays he makes. He runs around. He finds ways to make amazing plays. I mean, it just doesn't get old. I don't see how you find it old.
Wait. One note. So all the Patrick Mahomes and Chief D writers, you know what I'm saying?
I hate the Chiefs going this year. I've been proven wrong too many times.
Okay, but regardless, I feel like all of them, they're using this injury and this injured team as like an excuse, right? Because if Patrick Mahomes loses, he's still the GOAT because he was injured and he made it to the Super Bowl. If he wins, he's the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? So it's a win-win situation from here because, I don't know, Joe Shiesty got cold that day and just messed up, you know?
He was far too icy.
Shree, you picked the Bengals. What do you think?
You picked the Bengals, you picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, didn't you? Or no? You picked the Niners to win the Super Bowl.
No, I picked the 49ers to win the Super
good
Bowl.
pick.
Actually.
Good pick. You picked the Niners Bengals Super Bowl.
Dude, I missed on everything this year, so I'm not even gonna let's just steer away from the predictions. But I was my thing on Mahomes and everyone. If Hoj, if it's any comfort to you, if there's anyone that's gonna stop Mahomes, him hobbling all over everywhere and like being Superman, like I feel like it is the Eagles defense. Like this is a defense that probably has like one of the best pass rushes and secondaries in the league. Like it is probably going to be Mahomes' biggest fight this year. I think this Eagles defense is amazing, and I feel like just even though they didn't really have the roughest schedule in playoffs, they still put up. I think they only allowed 14 points over 2 games, like to the Giants and to the Niners. Like sure, like they were injured in the second game, but I feel like that's pretty hard for and that's a lot to put on Mahomes. Even however great he is, like a defense that's only allowed 14 points in the postseason is pretty remarkable. So I think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be his biggest test. But I don't think this is gonna happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the same situation where they got swept by the Bucks in Tampa Bay a couple years ago.
110%
I wouldn't be
agree.
surprised.
I 100% agree.
But Hoj, you're not going to be here next week, so. I mean, you're not going to be on the show next week.
It sounded like he was about to pass. I was like,
What? What you talking about?
You're not going to be on the show next week.
Okay.
So
I guess
who are
not.
you taking in the Super Bowl and why?
Who am I taking in the Super Bowl and why?
Don't speak into your bottle. I'm not going to hear you.
Okay, Mom. All right. Who do I take and why? All right. I'm going to have to go the Eagles. Because here's the thing, Arjun. That team is hurt. That team is wounded. Like, if this is a war...
The Eagles?
No, the Chiefs.
No, the Chiefs. Like, if this is a war, if getting to the Super Bowl is a war, and this is the final battle, like, the soldiers are straggling. You know what I mean? Like, you got Mahomes. Like, that's an injury that, like, got Tony Pollard out, like, completely.
Tony Pollard broke a bone.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's not talk
about that.
That's also a crazy comp.
Let's not talk about that. Please. All right, we'll get to that in a second. Oh, my God. All right, whatever. Anyways, the thing is, like, Mans has a high ankle sprain, which is no joke. He's still playing. Anyways, you can see it affecting himself. Like, he's still human. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just turn on the Jets. You can't just turn on the Jets like that. You know what I mean? Like, you got the rest of your team that's, like, you got people missing. You got players missing. It's like playing a chess game with a couple of the pieces missing. You know what I mean? Even if they're pawns.
Oh,
you know
that's
an
amazing analogy, honestly.
At least Eagles, like, I don't think Jalen Hurts is Patrick Mahomes. Like, I'm not saying that. But at least they got a full set,
Mm-hmm.
They have a full set, and they're looking strong on both sides.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I think there's a potential for a blowout, but again, Rohan said, Patrick Mahomes at this point is Superman, and if there's someone who can overcome this injury and these offensive deficiencies, it's him.
It's him.
But we're going to have a full Super Bowl episode next week where we're going to dive into all the matchups and all that, so we're going to talk about more there. Let's get into some topics. It's the Pro Bowl week. There's not much going on, but we had a really big headline drop a couple days ago. A year ago, we sat here with Hoj just on the audio podcast.
We did.
Talking about Tom Brady retiring.
Yeah.
And we weren't fully convinced at this point, but a year later, on February 1st, Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion and the greatest quarterback to ever play this game, retired earlier this week, 46 years old. There's not much we can say about Tom Brady that hasn't already been said. In terms of, I'll just say really quickly, I've never seen football without Tom Brady. He was playing before I was born. So this will be, I think, a weird season for all of us, especially kind of our age group, seeing a NFL without Tom Brady. And then, frankly, as someone who just loves the sport itself, it's a little bit sad, I think, to see someone who's, had as big of an impact leave the game. But the rest of the NFL community can rejoice because Tom Brady won't be taking any more games from them. But
we retired him.
Yes, I was about to get to that.
Hoj wants to speak on this because he thinks the Cowboys retired him.
What do you mean?
I think it was Giselle and the kids that retired him.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
speak-
Can we?
speak-
Okay,
speak on
let's
it.
just talk about Tom Brady as an individual for like just the past like year. Okay. I think he's taken the fattest L of a year of mankind this past year. I think. All right.
There's been some pretty big L's in mankind.
Okay, hear me out. Okay. So the GOAT, right? Respected. Just everyone loves him. You say what you want. He's the GOAT. You know what I mean? There's no getting past it. Won that Super Bowl when he was geriatric, damn near. And instead of retiring, he continues to just keep playing. But, that was just the first of his bad decisions to keep going on and on. Well, we'll get into the whole, him and his son in a second. That's some weird stuff, whatever.
I knew he was going to bring this up.
I
knew he couldn't get past. Like, it's not that big. It's weird. It's not like that weird.
It's not a good look, okay? All right.
I don't think that's one of the L's he's taken
Yeah,
specifically this year.
there's a little bit. There's a few bigger L's. I feel like.
All right, I'm getting to them, okay? Because the next one is Giselle, as you said. That one, you lose your wifey. It's just like, and then she gets married to some random dude next. Like that's
her jujitsu trainer, actually.
Yeah. What? Like.
No, they're not married. They're dating.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless. Okay. And on top of that, he lost like all of his bread. Like he invested
in FTX.
in
Yeah.
FTX.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Giselle. They invested so much money into this like shit that just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And so and he got retired by the Cowboys. Because
And that's really the
Oh
biggest
my
one
God.
of them all.
He got,
Okay.
he got retired by a poverty franchise. That's crazy.
Whoa, that was crazy. Okay, hold on. The thing is, the Cowboys, right? There's all this noise going in. Oh, the Cowboys have never beaten Tom Brady before. Oh, they're gonna lose. Who said that? Who picked the Bucks? You two. I'm looking at you. Oh, the Cowboys can't beat the Bucks. Blah 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 blah. All this noise. Tom Brady the GOAT. Nah, bruh. Nah, bro. Tom Brady stepped into that. He's like, I've never lost before. I can't wait to kiss my son in celebration. Oh, I never lose. Nah. And we just Dalton Schultz 2 touchdowns.
What happened the following week? By
Yeah,
the way?
what did Dalton Schultz do against the Niners?
All right, see, I that's the thing is that's when a joke. That's a good example of when a joke goes too far. So Shri, I don't know if you know this, but I've been like hyping up Dalton Schultz since like
last year.
Since he saw me play a game of Madden against Dalton Schultz.
yeah, he was goated.
He loves
goated.
Dalton Schultz.
I mess with Dalton Schultz. I don't know about love, after what he did to me in that last game, which was some whatever. That was just some I don't know.
Goofy. Yeah.
That was just come on, bro.
No,
like,
that was.
Come on.
It was some poor decision.
That was just so bad.
He sold.
He sold. He actually. Not that we were doing much. I don't know what the hell we were cooking.
So I guess to that point, Hoj, how do you feel about a year ago we talked about the Cowboys underperforming and losing to the Niners, and just like a year ago we talked about Tom Brady retiring, a year later we're talking about the Cowboys underperforming and losing to the Niners.
Wow,
so
what a start to a question. Okay.
The circle of life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the Cowboys at the end of this year going into next season? Dak Prescott, all that. We had like a 10-minute long debate last week on the show.
Actually, I'm curious
Dak.
to know his opinion. Do you support Dak?
What does it mean to support him?
Say no.
Do you
Say
think
no.
he can lead your team to a Super Bowl, or would you prefer you found someone else at quarterback?
All right, I've been thinking about
No, I
this.
feel like if he's thinking this long, I feel like we already have our answer, right?
I've
Like,
been-
if it's
okay,
a,
listen, I've
If
been
it's a
thinking
yes,
about
it should be
this.
like this.
I've been thinking
well-
about this.
Okay.
It seems like
Yeah.
you're still thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think Dak is him. And
I told you, Rohan.
and
I'm
I
telling you.
hate to say it, okay? I hate to say it because part of being a Cowboys fan is I have to be disillusioned at all times and just completely have faith
That's
in my
self-awareness.
Wait, that's a surprising amount of like illusion, man.
Yeah.
All right, chill. What?
Wait, is that a word?
No, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. He's cooking. All right, let him cook.
Who let him?
But here's the thing. Like, this man is just like hot and cold, Like,
Like the Katy Perry song.
sure, if that makes you happy. Yeah, like hot then we cold. We're in then we're out. Like this guy just like when the cookie crumbles, you know, when the straw is on the camel's back.
Okay, can you get through the cliches?
You know, when the nail is just getting weighted to
What?
when the nail is awaiting.
When the table is about to be turned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I can't put my faith in Dak. Like I wouldn't trust Dak to win a play to save Arjun's life.
Wait. Why is it my life? It's on the line. Why can't it be your life? I don't like Dak. Why does my life gotta be on the line? This analogy.
It's Rohan. It's Rohan's
Want to
life.
put my life on the line for Dak with Dak?
No.
I don't know about that.
Dakota James Prescott is okay. He is.
All right, okay.
He's better than okay.
No need to say okay. Okay
He's better
is
than
crazy,
okay.
all right?
He's okay.
No,
He's
no.
very
He is
good.
Kirk
He's better
Cousins.
than okay.
He's Kirk Cousins.
He's better than Kirk Cousins.
What is
He's
going on?
better than
Just
Kirk
because I
Cousins.
say he's not Himothy of all time doesn't mean that he's Kirk Cousins.
Okay, tell me this: can Dak Prescott win 4 straight games to win the Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys? Do you have confidence he can win 4 straight?
All right, here's what I think. Okay. I think it's possible. I think it is a possibility. It remains a possibility. You've seen when he performs at peak, like he's miles beyond okay.
But that's the problem. He's never been able to string together consistent games in the playoffs.
Like he's hot and cold. Like
He's
you
hot
say-
and cold.
yeah.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
like with hot and cold, the stars can't align. You know,
They haven't.
It's-
But they can. I see what you're saying. He has potential to be a great quarterback, and because there very few quarterbacks even hold that. Kirk Cousins doesn't hold that. Dak does. That's why you have to ride the Dak wave. You're not going to go out and find another quarterback who can consistently do the things that he do. That's incredibly hard to find.
Isn't this the new Dalton line? Is this not the whole discussion around Andy Dalton years ago that you can't find a quarterback better than Andy Dalton for your franchise, but you also can't find someone worse? He is someone you can't get.
Andy Dalton is closer to Kirk Cousins. And by the way, I stand by that statement that Dak Prescott's closer to Josh Allen than he is to Kirk Cousins.
Josh Allen's
Oh,
not going to win
come
the Super Bowl.
on.
all right, okay, all right.
Okay,
Dak
Last word.
Dak Prescott, like that game with the Niners, as soon as Tony Pollard sprained his ankle, we lost. Like
he didn't have enough help.
there was like no, but even before that, right? Like why did Tony Pollard sprain his ankle? It's because of that play where they couldn't trust Brett Maher. Every story needs a villain. And our run's villain is Brett Maher.
It's a crazy one to choose out.
No, listen. I don't know what on God's green earth was happening to my boy, my brother in Christ. Literally, you have one job. You have one purpose, is to kick the ball in, and he misses that. And we lose because that trust is broken, the morale is broken, and everything falls apart from there.
You know, we've talked a lot about what's happened in the past year, right? And last year, Hoj, we discussed a lot about like how NFL players are perceived, right? And how we talk about them in terms of sometimes we forget about, you know, what they do in their personal lives and we put the game above that. But I think this year, kind of on the flip side of that, showed sometimes how dangerous the NFL field can also be. Obviously, we had the Damar Hamlin situation just about a month ago where he had a cardiac arrest on the field. And that's not something we're going to see probably ever again. Obviously, but it's a very unlikely event. And thankfully, Damar has recovered, and it seems like he's making a positive impact now. But on the flip side of that, we also saw Tua Tagovailoa get 3 concussions in 1 year. And I think this whole year, for me, has been a lot. You know, we've had a lot of underdogs come in. We've had people like Tom Brady come and go. But it's also been a year where we've talked a lot about player safety. Maybe we need to put more of a focus on that. We've talked about CTE for a while, but finally now I feel like it's going to the forefront. How do you see? What is your reaction to this year in terms of all that?
You know, every time it happens, we act really surprised, and it like blows up all over the news, and we're all like, "Oh my gosh, cardiac arrest! How's that possible?" But the harsh truth is like this was predictable. You know, we could have easily seen this coming. Something to this degree, to this caliber. Like I think we're lucky that it's not worse. You know, like these people that are playing, they're quite literally putting their bodies and their lives on the line to a degree. And I think like Damar Hamlin's situation was a great wake up call in that sense. Thank God it wasn't worse than what happened. Because it just as easily could have been, and the fact that it hasn't happened yet, I think is just mere luck. It's bound to happen, and every time it gets worse, we act surprised, but nothing changes. So I think it's dangerous. But foreseeable.
Yeah, I mean, we had the discussion a few days after the Damar Hamlin incident, right? And I said, like, obviously this will probably be a big wake up call, but only for a bit. I mean, it's like I said, it's only been it feels like it happened forever ago. It's only been a month.
Yeah.
And I don't know specifically what the NFL has done to sort of make sure that doesn't happen again. Again, it is a very freak accident. You hope that we don't see it again in our lifetime. But I mean, it's just like these. It's just weird how we're like normalized these types of injuries. Like it happens, you like think about it for like a few days, and then you hear that he's okay, and you're like, okay, go about your day.
And I think
but
definitely for concussions, that's something that
I mean, concussions, like I said, it's a different thing. But I mean, like for me, it's like, hold on. Every time I see like Damar Hamlin, I'm like, this kid's like going through such a long recovery process. This story might be over for us and for the casual fan, because like, oh, he lived, he's okay. Mm-hmm. But for him, like, he probably can't play football again, or if he does, it's going to be a very, very long run to get back there, which now means he has to find something else to do to make a living off of. Never mind that, he's got to like make a full physical recovery first. And then he got resuscitated on the field. He literally died for a minute. I mean, crazy. Yeah, and for us, the story is at least he made it out and he's okay and he's alive. But again, I think we've already forgotten about the player and the fact that he's got such a long road to recovery ahead, and there's so many other challenges that he's now going to face because of that one freak accident.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like all the gruesome injuries that we've seen, like Alex Smith, he spent like over 2.5 years, like in rehab, and like
he almost died as well.
Yeah, and he almost died, and like he came back, and like even that Dak injury that happened, that was pretty gruesome as well, and like he had to take almost a year off. I just feel like you were talking about like why we haven't seen like any actual like permanent changes, because like I just feel like we all come to like accept that like they're coming back, so it's okay, so it's so fine if they're gonna come back. But I don't feel like a lot of players, like again, like Arjun, you remember like Ryan Shazier, right? Like he had like a career-ending injury. I feel like those career-ending injuries aren't just like happening as often, like I guess in all of these like bad injuries, like career-ending injuries aren't like happening that much for us to see like any permanent change. And I feel like that might be like one of the factors that really like decides like if anything's gonna happen. But that's what I think. But I don't know, man. It's weird.
You mentioned something interesting there, which was about Dak, and this is taking a bit of a detour to that discussion. But I mean, you talk about Dak. He's coming off a huge injury, right? And then that's all someone who's like been through a lot of mental health struggles. I mean, his brother committed suicide a few years ago. He comes back from that. And like you talk about all these like physical injuries, but then there's also the mental injuries. I think that the mental health issues like that impacts your gameplay as well. And not to like, I know like we talk about sports very, very like from a bird's eye point of view. We talk about these players, but like I don't think we're doing it that badly. We're talking about him objectively as a player. But then you look at other like commentators and they like rip into a player and they say like, oh, like he's not built for these. Remember Skip Bayless like said Dak's not a leader, and it's like it's just crazy to me that you can like. I don't understand. You can separate someone's play in a game from the actual like tangible things they've been through. I mean, this guy went through a career altering injury, and then he goes through a bunch of stuff in his personal life, had his own personal issues to deal with, and these aren't like light issues. And then still plays football at a decent level, and you still get ripped into. Yeah. And it's crazy to me that like we separate. You alienate the player from their own self almost. Does that make sense? Am I cooking?
Cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's what I think. I've been thinking recently.
You've been doing a lot of thinking.
I've been doing a lot of thinking in the back end.
He's a thinker.
I think football is like the Romans' equivalents of gladiators fighting.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like different era, same primal like urge to see humans fight each other in a sense, and like football is so great for that instinct because it also appeals to like that strategic, like puzzle pieces falling into place type of appeal, or it's very difficult to imagine a life without football. But in a lot of ways, when the Romans were living and these people were living, they could never imagine a life without gladiators, and maybe there is like a certain point, like a certain threshold or some sort of asymptote, where too much becomes too much and everything kind of implodes on itself, like as many measures as you can put in and as many regulations and rules and things that you try to put in, if the problem that you're trying to work with is inherent to how football is structured, then you're basically trying to throw on bandages on a gaping laceration, You're just trying to, there's no way to really fix things, like that.
Now we know what CT is, right? Like, I feel like we're the first generation that, like, when you watch these games and you see these players, like, hitting heads, you see someone get says concussion. I don't know about you, but my first thought is, like, damn, that puts him at a high risk for CTE. Like, Tua Tagovailoa, 3 concussions in a season, what's that going to do for him? Like, not even 50 years, 20 years down the road, right? And it's so difficult to, like, watch the game. I don't know how people can watch the game, see these types of injuries, and, like, brushed off. Because for me, I think, like, that's
should Tua continue in his career? That's the first thing
listen,
I'm thinking.
You know how much I love Tua, but, like, should he? I mean, should someone, like, should these guys keep playing? Because we all know, they know that puts them at a higher risk for CTE down the road. The second thing I want to talk about, I actually wrote a paper about this, Hoj, you'd be proud of it. I wrote about how... big paper guy. I wrote a philosophy paper on football and how players really aren't as free as we think they are. I mean, first off, you say like, oh, but how? They're making millions of dollars. First of all, let's get this straight. I mean, they are in the upper echelon of talent. They are, they're like what? Only a few, just over 1,000 players maybe are in the NFL at any given point in time. Just a few hundred are there consistently. These guys are uber talented. If you're in the top 0.1% of your profession, no matter what you're doing, you're getting paid a lot. I'm positive. So I think that argument, like they get paid too much to go through these issues, is irrelevant. I mean, they're getting paid the amount they should be paid for how good they are. Next, I mean, look at these players. Think about how they get into this league. Like, you get drafted to a team where you have no say in where you go. You used to be able to negotiate your contract as a rookie. You don't get to do that anymore. After the 2011 CBA, the contract you get is pretty much based on where you're drafted. Then after that, teams can, if they want to keep you, they can like pick up their option. They can do franchise tags, which pretty much force you to stay with the team. I mean, there's so many places down the road where these players don't get the option to do what they want. I mean, we might see it this year, right? With Lamar Jackson, he might get franchise tagged, which means that he's only going to get a 1-year contract and a certain amount of money. But he doesn't even get to negotiate the price. He gets a certain amount of money. And
the hope, I guess, with there is that they negotiate a long-term deal while that tag is there.
Right, yeah. But the point is, this point still stands that, I mean, you saw Le'Veon Bell, what happened with him when he got franchise tagged. It ruined his career because he tried to stand up for himself. And it just arguably didn't work in his favor. So I think that, I mean, we make these arguments about the fact that these players are getting paid millions of dollars. I just think that they deserve it, and B, that doesn't change the fact that they're still not completely like free to do exactly what they want and sometimes earn all that they deserve.
You know, to that extent, I feel like, there are like limits to like whatever you ask for, right? Like, paying like for someone like Patrick Mahomes like $50 million a year, like, and I feel like these teams have to really think about like, their salary cap. There are limits that like a team has to like how much they can spend on like one player. Like, I feel like when I'm not trying to play. I guess like I completely agree with what you say, but in some cases when like a player asks for like too much money, like, I don't want to take like Le'Veon Bell, but like Le'Veon Bell, like at the time, like I really feel like all Steelers fans probably, like Arjun can probably speak on this as well. Like, he was probably asking for a little bit like too much money, in my opinion. Like, at the time. And I feel like, teams have to make those decisions. And, like, advocacy is great. And I feel like, players really need to do that and, like, go wherever their opportunities are. But, I feel like you got to consider, like, from a team's perspective, like, how much they can, like are willing. Because they have, like, 52 other guys on
specifically
the
on the...
No.
You agree?
No.
Okay. But I guess specifically on the Le'Veon Bell thing, right? Like, the Steelers chose not to pay Le'Veon Bell, right? But it's Le'Veon. Like, I don't hold any ill will. I mean, I guess back then I held. Like, he didn't want to be with the Steelers. Fine, whatever. It's like, I don't care that much. But he guys.
Sounds like he cares.
I have a jersey in my closet that's still there. I miss him. But Le'Veon Bell chose to get his back, and he got it in New York, right?
Mhm.
Like, there will be, ultimately, if one team decides not to play, like the Steelers, right? That's fine. That's the team's choice, and it's a business. It's a business decision, right? For
Right.
both sides. And Le'Veon Bell can go get a deal somewhere else. So if these teams, even looking at, again, we're Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens don't pay Lamar Jackson this offseason, Lamar Jackson wants to go to New York, if he wants to go to Tampa, wherever, right?
He'll find the money somewhere.
He'll find the money somewhere. Someone will be willing to pay.
I just think that there are some rules in place. Like, if the franchise tag rule wasn't in place, Le'Veon Bell might still be playing in the NFL. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe not that, but he would have gotten more money. He would have gotten a better contract probably at some earlier in his career.
Oh yeah.
There's just
yeah.
rules in place that again, like if the Steelers don't want to sign, they don't have to. But the franchise tag option being there, it definitely takes away from the free will of the players. Okay, so we're gonna wrap our discussion. But Hoj, what are your last thoughts on this? So we've talked a lot about player safety. Talked a lot about whether players get paid what they're worth, especially considering all these other restrictions placed on them. I mean, what do you like the NFL today? Is it fair towards players? Is it more skewed? I mean, I think it is more skewed towards helping owners and helping the NFL itself. But what else can be done to help give players more voice, give players more agency?
Feels like he's asking you an essay question right now.
Yeah, seriously. He just asked me,
Explain using thoughts from the text and your own analysis.
how do I think we should give players more agency? The thing is, like, the question I think that must first be answered is whether or not they deserve agency in the first place. Like, regardless of what their situation is, how much autonomy they have, how much whatever happens to them, the truth is, like, these people could be coming from backgrounds where, like, $100,000 is crazy, let alone millions and millions and millions of dollars. And when you're thinking about fairness, like, I don't know, philosophy, utilitarian way, like, if you think about the suffering, if you consider the player and how much he suffers, drowning in his $50 million check, sure, you have to move in a straight line this way and then curve this way for, like, your whole life, basically. But
pretty good at it. Pretty good.
The $20 million that you get, and then you compare it to all because you said top
I found
zero.
this on the web.
Sorry, that was Siri. The top 0.1% of players of football ever get to enjoy the privilege of, like, all of that. Think about all those other people who invested their whole lives, all their assets, all their time, their skill points into this activity just to not make it. And then, so I think, when we're thinking about fairness, it's important to keep that broader perspective.
Yeah, I really think there's no real right answer to this whole discussion. But, I think that was a great discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Hoj, again, for coming on the show. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Sure.
Hoj, again, Hoj has been, I want to just end with this, Hoj has really been the person who helped us create this show from the ground up. He was there. You remember when I kicked you out of the room to record our first episode with
That's
Sheree?
right. I was taking a nap, and he goes,
I remember the story.
Yeah, to try and wake me up. I was there.
I was a different man back then. But Hoj also created our intro music, and for that, we're eternally grateful.
No worries.
Go listen to Hoj on Spotify.
At Hoj
Sure.
Choi,
That's all. That's me.
Senior Week album.
Senior Week album out 2 years ago, but
He's been in the studio still.
Yeah, we've been working
He's
since.
been cooking.
Yeah, we've
You
been
got
working.
any new music coming out?
Yeah, I mean, here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
Anything?
found this on the web.
all right, Siri.
Did you find anything?
No.
Oh yeah, she said in like a couple months.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
All right, we'll let you guys know when that comes out. But we have a ton of stuff, end of season content coming out next week. Awards predictions, Super Bowl episode coming early next week as well. A lot of end of season content, QB tier list as well. Super Bowl end of season, but off season this next month is really going to be interesting to see what all these teams do, and then we'll have a little bit of a break after kind of free agency and the draft are over. But we have a lot of fun stuff coming down. Again, thank you, Hoj, for coming. My name is Arjun Ryan.
Pleasure.
I'm Shribam Kanda.
I'm Ron Patel.
And there you go.
And I'm your boy, Hoj Choi. No, wait.
That was cringe. No, it's
That's
done.
so
It's done.
cringe. That's so
It's
cringe.
done. It's
That
done.
was cringe.
And then
That's
cue the
cringe.
music.